Folks, Willie Brown, the former California speaker and San Francisco mayor, doesn't appear on television as much as he should, but when he does, it's epic, and this is no exception. This is Willie Brown talking on MSNBC with Alex Witt a moment ago. You have to hear this.
Willie Brown, Democrat and former mayor of San Francisco. And Willie, welcome back to the broadcast, and great to see you. I want to get right to the recent op-ed that you wrote in the San Francisco Chronicle, in which you say that it's time for Democrats to stop bashing the president because the president is more popular than Democrats want to admit. You also want to say that a significant number of Americans are happy these days. They're making money, they're feeling safe, and on and on. So Corey Lewandowski's statement right there, do you agree with him and the president's message? Is it powerful?
Well, let's be very clear. Democrats need seriously to be focused on what do they offer as the alternative. That's exactly what I would be doing were I a candidate for public office. And I would start, by the way, with a study of Hillary Clinton's book, What Happened. She can tell you exactly how she lost Michigan, how she lost Pennsylvania, how she lost Ohio. She can tell you how she lost that election. We need to know that. And one of the issues in there was stop thinking that the weakness of Trump can elect you.
But how do the Democrats fairly criticize the president? Because at the very least, this president has, can you say, turned certain norms on their head?
There is no question. Any question that put before you about the current situation, you answer it. But you really ought to be selling more than just your analysis of today. You've got to sell on what tomorrow would look like if Nancy Pelosi becomes the speaker again. And I think there's a good case to be made for that purpose, period. And we ought to make that case. That'll motivate voters to come out. It won't touch the Trump supporters at all. They love this guy. They're going to stay with this guy forever. But they are in the minority of people if we can turn out the vote. We need to up the numbers.
Willie, of what are you the most critical of President Trump?
In no question, coming from California, it's the whole issue of immigration. It's the whole issue of violence in the streets generated and supported by this indifference to what happens with people who have weapons. Those are items that must be addressed. The Democrats need to be at the front of the line with those kids from Florida who were leading the issue several months ago about changing gun control. Those are issues that we don't have to reference Trump's. We can talk about tomorrow. We can say to people who go to concerts and fear themselves, as people did at that country music festival in Vegas, and when 59 or so people were shot and killed by some crazy guy with a gun. Those are all things that we can talk about and we can lead on, and we don't have to reference Trump's. Although he will be in a position where he will be defending those, we need him on the defense.
Are you in the camp, Willie, that believes Democrats should not be talking about impeachment at this time?
I think impeachment is a waste of time, but believe me, let Robert Mueller handle the impeachment issue. Let him do the confrontation with Trump. Let him try to force Trump to be interviewed. Let him continue to exhaust Giuliani's presentations. Let that fight go on. That's internal. Let him go at it. In the meantime, we ought to be ringing the doorbells of everybody on the Democratic side of the aisle who didn't go out to vote for Hillary Clinton. We ought to be trying to convince Bernie Sanders to go back and stay in his own state and leave the rest of the nation to us to try to cultivate.
Ben Rhodes has written in his new memoir about former President Obama's reaction to the election of President Trump. And he said that Mr. Obama asked the question, what if we were wrong? And he adds, maybe people just want to fall back into their tribe. Do you think that's what happened?
Well, I can assure you that there's a better analysis of what happened from Hillary Clinton's perspective. She was the person online. She knows what her campaign did not do. Donna Brazil's analysis is of great assistance to Hillary Clinton in the book on what's happened. I'm telling you, Democrats need to go back to basics. They need to go back, let's say, to charm school on the vote pursuit aisle. And Hillary says that dramatically in what's happened. And I think that's a better analysis than what comes from anybody else.
I want to look ahead to just this week, a couple days from now, Tuesday, primary day there in California, and former Hillary Clinton pollster Doug Schoen is warning that he sees a jungle primary that's threatening to undermine the Democrats in November. Do you have any sense of how the primary is going to shake out in your state?
Well, you understand that the operation operate in California is there's virtually no party. Everybody can vote for anybody they may choose to. The independents are now in greater numbers on the registration side than the Republicans. And so this is a state in which you cannot draw any conclusions nationally because we are so different. Mr. Newsom will probably be the nominee. He is the lieutenant governor of the state of California on the Democratic side of the aisle, except you can't say on the Democratic side of the aisle. He'll be one or two. And in every other category, it's the same way. Dianne Feinstein, seeking re-election to the U.S. Senate, can't even get the endorsement of the Democratic Party in its state central committee operation. We are kind of a confused operation because we are so heavily Democratic or so heavily independent. The Republicans are an endangered species, and that won't change because the quality in the bench just isn't there. So don't draw any conclusions about what may happen in California except in the challenge seats for Congress. If, in fact, the 5 or 6 seats we are trying to turn from Republican to Democrat takes place, Nancy Pelosi will be the new speaker.
But it is an extraordinary position that the GOP finds itself in, that you're talking about, that poll that said they're behind independents in terms of registration with voters. When you think about the state of California and the GOP, they gave us Ronald Reagan. They gave us Richard Nixon. I mean, how far that state GOP party has collapsed.
And they gave us Earl Warren, who literally changed the whole nature of how people of African descent who are now in America could exist. And believe me, at one time, the Republican Party really had a high morality flavor as it relates to candidates. They've got to go back to basics to start that all over again. But again, I say, we Californians are not the measurement of what can happen to the Democratic Party. We have been so overwhelming in every aspect. Both houses of the legislature, a supermajority, every statewide office in California held by Democrats, the 2 U.S. Senate seats held by Democrats, and women in this case. So we are a different ball of wax from the rest of the nation.
Willie, I want to take you down memory lane. I'm going to put up a picture here of a Newsweek magazine cover from 1999 and ask you about your friendship with Rudy Giuliani, both of you former mayors, you know, New York and San Francisco respectively. Do you think he's tarnishing his past with this fronting of the president's arguments? I mean, we have this cover. It shows both of you on it, and it's kind of fun to think back on.
Well, you got to know that Rudy Giuliani was on the way out, frankly, in 2001. The business of what happened there in New York in 2001 resurrected him. They delayed the election by at least a couple of weeks, and in delaying the election, he managed to steer the Democrats out, a fellow named Green, and do Bloomberg in. And then from that point on, he went about to make millions. Rudy Giuliani is a talented guy, and believe me, he's the best thing that Trump has got going for him. All those other people don't count. Rudy does count. And believe me, in my knowledge and my acquaintanceship with Rudy and my occasional visit with him when I'm in New York or seeing him when he comes to California, I'm telling you, this guy doesn't need meds. He knows what he's doing.
Okay, Willie Brown. We'll take your word for it. Thank you very much. Always good to see you, sir. Appreciate it.
Oh, boy. I think Willie's a political genius. I know there's some people who may not like him. That's my mom talking. But he is a political genius. And he says a lot of the right things, Mom. So
well, he probably does. It doesn't mean I like him.
Okay. Anyway, please subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube. And bookmark Zenny62.com and bookmark OaklandNewsNow.com. All right, thank you.
Right, and learn
thank you.
everything.